All right, are we ready? Yeah. All right. So welcome to our Palestine Land Day Forum and Meca fundraiser. My name is Cameron Stringfield and I am with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. This event is sponsored by the Eugene pre-branch of the PSL, the Eugene chapter of the Pacific Green Party, and the University of Oregon chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine, and was initiated by a local community artist, activist, and poet, Shakar Efrati. We are living in an era of profound upheaval. So much is unraveling before our eyes and beyond our sight. What began with the abduction of Mahmoud Khalil has now expanded to graduate students and labor organizers being seized by plain-clothed agents. Meanwhile, Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen are all under bombardment by what is effectively the same force, the imperialist U.S.-Israeli regime. The work we do today may seem small in comparison, but it is essential, and it is what Palestine calls on us to do. To keep speaking out, to use our privilege and voices for Palestinian lives, dignity, and liberation. As we gather to mark Palestine Land Day, we remember the violent seizures of land and the killings carried out in 1976. Today we see the same patterns. A century-long struggle for justice marked by both suffering and steadfast resistance. We stand in solidarity with indigenous peoples fighting for their lands and rights on this continent. We remember the ongoing battles for the liberation of women and trans people. We hold in our hearts the struggles in Sudan, the Congo, and everywhere that oppression under imperialism and capitalism persists. All of these fights are deeply connected. So today we'll hear from members of our Palestinian community at a time when speaking out against erasure and genocide is increasingly criminalized. We know how absurd this is, just as absurd as the claim that opposing genocide is anti-Semitic. And yet here we are, gathering, learning, and standing together as a community in witness and solidarity. We are also raising funds for the Middle Eastern Children's Alliance, Meca, which you can find the QR code for over there. Meca provides humanitarian aid for Gaza and other places like Iraq, Lebanon, and Syria, partners with community organizations to run projects for children, and supports income generation projects. Now, I should also mention there's another fundraiser over there for a family in the West Bank if you can support that too. And we have like Mahmoud Khalil posters and shirts and everything to contribute to those fundraisers. But with that all out of the way, I'll go ahead and pass the mic to Shakar Efrati.
Thank you, Cameron. Let me see if I can lower this. I did it. I could do difficult things. Thanks, y'all, for gathering. I'm going to read two poems by Mahmoud Darwish, and then I'm going to follow that by a poem I wrote this morning. I woke up in the middle of the kind of night and just jotted it down, and you all get to experience what it is with me. On This Land by Mahmoud Darwish. We have on this land that which makes life worth living. We have on this land all of that which makes life worth living. April's hesitation, the aroma of bread at dawn, a woman's beseeching of men, the writings of Aeschylus, love's beginning, moss on a stone, mothers standing on a flute's thread, and the invader's fear of memories, We have on this land that which makes life worth living. September's end, a woman leaving 40 behind with all of her apricots. The hour of sunlight in prison, a cloud reflecting a swarm of creatures, a people's applause for those who face their own erasure with a smile, and the tyrant's fear of songs. We have on this land all of that which makes life worth living. Poem of the Land. A small evening, a neglected village, 2 sleeping eyes, 30 years, 5 wars. I witness that time hides for me an ear of wheat. The singer sings of fire and strangers. Evening was evening. The singer was singing, and they question him, "Why do you sing?" He answers them as they seize him, "Because I sing." And they have searched him. In his breast, only his heart. In his heart, only his people. In his voice, only his sorrow. Thanks. That's Mahmoud Darwish. If Gaza is the soul of Palestine, the West Bank is the heart, and both are hurting. Both are in a state of shock. Tractors across their veins, their arteries poisoned, their airwaves struggling for life. Maybe the time for poetry is dead, buried in a mass grave, along with the doctors and ambulances. I can't keep up with the slaughters and the evil of Zionist cowards hiding behind their military power. A poem cannot supply the resistance with equal might, with a navy, an army, bombs to retaliate, to shake the fuckers off the land. A poem can't do most things, like land a stone right between the eyes of an arrogant Brooklyn settler. Oh no, not another headline of the barbarity of the Arab. Here come the bloodthirsty victims for Jewish safety, for national security. A poem is not a tank, nor is it a victim. It is not a baby miraculously pulled from the rubble, because that cry, that shriek in the face of erasure is why we gather, why we fight, and why you can never tell me that there is nothing to fight for. A poem cannot resuscitate the martyrs. It cannot build a world where all children are playing in the sun, not under rockets and snipers, but under the caring gaze of elders. It cannot do a lot of things, but it can imagine in a time when even to imagine is an act of resistance. It can say, I will not remain silent. I will not obey or comply. I will witness, and I will not forget their crimes, and I will not stop haunting Zionists. That is what a poem can do. Thank you. I'm pleased to ask these panelists to come on up and join me. I'll be getting out of the way very quickly. We have 2 mics for, I believe, 4 speakers. Tara, Solemn, Fia, and there was another Salem, if they're still here. Sorry? Danny? Danny? Sorry. Hey. So, yeah, we'll just go popcorn style. And my really general question for you all was, what significance does Land Day have for you within the backdrop of the genocide, the land seizures, ethnic cleansing, and just personally for you and your family? So I'd love to hear from you all. Anybody can start if you'd like, and yeah, we'll flow from there. Thank you.
They volunteered me to go first.
Voluntold. Voluntold.
Yeah, okay, whatever. So immediately, I'm thinking about how a large part of what being indigenous to a place means is your relationship to the physical land, and you can't hear me?
You gotta eat the mic. Eat the mic.
This is for recording. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, a large part of retaining and at this point healing and holding on to indigenous identity is holding on to the land and the stories it has and everything it bears. I mean, and what we're seeing in the context of genocide and since October 7th is the direct degradation of that land too. So having a relationship to it in a almost sacred way is important for a time like now where they're branding it with army symbols and just scorching it to no avail, and it's the people that are. I was just thinking about when Shakar brought up Gaza being the soul of Palestine and the West Bank being the heart of Palestine. To me, that means the people that decided to remain there instead of looking for something different, or out of safety leaving or being forced out. But the people that are there are I don't know, just being there is an act of resistance. Being on the land is sometimes the only thing certain people can do, and it at this point has become defiant, and I think it's important to, remember specific incidents like what today was on the basis of, but the massacre that occurred to have Land Day be celebrated is just one of a separated many. Yeah. So I don't know. It's seeing an isolated incident being put in a spotlight is never obviously it is important to. It is unfortunate that there's so many things to have to be remembered and talked about, but this is just the aggression that our people have gone through for over 100 years. And I'm going to pass it on now.
Okay. Hi. When I think of Land Day, I think back to my grandfather, my Sido, who lived with his brothers and sisters on the land when Zionist gang and settlers came to forcibly remove them from their home. They couldn't take anything with them. They couldn't argue, they couldn't resist. They were removed and displaced. And when I think of Land Day, I think of all the people who don't have the choice to stay on their land. the people who are removed from this earth from their land. It is important to reflect on those who are still there and also those who can no longer reside on their land, whose spirits remain there. This time has come to recognize all the martyrs and the casualties that we have lost upon this day who will not get to return to their land, who will not get to see their homes once again. And I think back to my Cito and how much he would have liked to see his land, his home, once more. Otherwise, that a settler family moved into that home. It is not easy to speak about this, and it is not easy to stand here talking about all that my family has lost, all that many families have lost, all that we have lost as a society and as a community. But if you feel that in your heart, if you feel that loss, if you take that upon yourself to feel it, that is reflection within itself. That is honor. That is honoring the people we have lost and honoring the lives that will no longer be able to return. And fighting for what we can, which is the land that remains and the land that we must protect. Thank you.
I think I got short jeans on from every angle, so thank you. That's good, yeah. Hi, my name is Tara. I am an architect in town working on affordable housing. I am a second-generation Palestinian American on my father's side. I brought with me my grandparents, Noor and Boutros, and who lived on the land I'll talk about a little bit. We're some of the, I guess, relatively lucky, with lucky being a relative term, families that still have the land that my great-grandfather bought sometime between the 1850s and 1870s. It had a home on it when he bought it, and they built another home that was used for guests, sometimes traveling missionaries, and used as a school as well. They have an olive mill that my family built. My great-grandfather bought the engine, and my father kept it running, and an olive orchard as well. And it has gone from a thriving, home and community with 20 to 30 people living on the land at one time, multi-generations, to today there's one auntie holding steadfast on the land, who lives there alone, refuses to leave. If she does leave, it's quite obvious that the land will be taken. My half-brother and his wife left only about 7 years ago. They were trying to stick it out as the young people to hang on, and it just got too much. All of the things that you see on the news happened to them. They're typical in that way, with having soldiers enter the home in the middle of the night to terrorize them, illegal settlers terrorizing the entire neighborhood, checkpoints. My niece, who was about 12 when they left Palestine, her job was to get her younger sisters to and from school alive every day. And I think a lot of days was routine, but there were days that there were soldiers. There were times she saw dead people as a young child, and that was her responsibility. I called my uncle last night. All of my father's siblings are still alive except for my father, ranging from 81 years old to 99 years old. And so I spoke with my uncle, who lives in California, last night, just to make sure I had a couple of details right of different things. And one of the saddest parts to me is that he's 96 years old. His family owns 2 houses and what he calls enough land for a village, and he bounces around between his kids, essentially not having a home of his own, even though he has an ancestral home and a sister that he'd love very much to see. So the other piece of this for me is the right of return and the Palestinian presence on the land. And even though my family, my brother and his family, were some of the last holdouts to leave, they still maintain their Palestinian citizenship. And my niece turned 17 last year. You're supposed to get it when you're 16, but as a young immigrant family with 3 kids, they haven't been able to make the trip to Palestine. So they hope to make it this summer, but one of them has epilepsy, another niece. And so it's going to be next summer, but at any rate, they're still hopeful they can go and do everything they need to for their documentation and maintain their status so they can go home when they want to and stay as long as they want to. My sister-in-law's entire family is still there in the West Bank. And so that's the other GoFundMe that's on the table. There's a QR code. And any donation helps. An angel donor would be awesome if anybody knows anybody. But yeah, that's what Palestinian Land Day means to my family at this moment in time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fia. My grandparents are also from Jerusalem. And Land Day, to me, what I think of is the connection that people have with the land, especially in indigenous communities, and this is true for Palestinian communities as well. And how our connection with the land is the first thing that Zionist militias will target. They will outlaw indigenous practices of foraging for zatar. They will cut off, ancestral access to olive groves and different farming and agricultural areas, to deny the millennia of presence that the people have had and the connection that they've grown with the land. And to strip the people of their land is to also strip the land of the people that know how to care for it, know how to steward it, and know how to protect it. And what we see in Palestine is the disregard of human life and the disregard of the land. They plant trees that are non-native. They cut down native species. They push out families that have been on olive groves for generations. And all of this culminates in the mass erasure of an indigenous peoples by the erasure of their connection with the land. And so what Land Day means is remembering that and honoring that, and all of the martyrs that we've lost to the Israeli occupation to protect the land, and all of the people that have died on that land are still there and are evidence of our resistance and our continued presence there. So, thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Sophia Barghouti. I am a Lebanese Palestinian American, and I want to tell you guys a story of how my grandmother got expelled from her homeland in Palestine. My family is from Safed, Palestine, which is just north of Palestine. And I remember one of the very first times that I started protesting was in downtown Portland when I was younger. And I remember when I was protesting, I used to think about, what am I doing here? I was 7 years old, I had no idea. And I asked my grandmother one day, and I was like, hi, what are we protesting for? And she sat me down, and she told me the story of why we're protesting. She began by telling me how it was a sunny day in Safed, Palestine, and she remembers hearing a lot of noise outside her home. And she noticed a bunch of men gathering other men and putting them in her front yard. And some of these men were digging up holes in her front yard. And the men that I'm talking about, these are soldiers. They're British soldiers and modern day IDF soldiers. And she's describing me how she's seen these men, they're digging up really deep holes in front of her front yard and gathering men from her neighborhood and lining up the men in front of these holes. And one of those men in front of those holes was my great-grandfather. One by one, each man stood behind the hole. They were forcibly forced out of their homes, and my grandmother told me that she saw her father in the middle of one of those holes that she's in front of. So the soldiers, they came up one by one. The gunmen would shoot each and one of those men from her neighborhood, falling to their own pre-dug graves. And my grandmother witnessed this. And as each one of these men fell into their own graves, my great-grandfather was next in line. There's a saying in Arabic called wazda. Wazda means connections. And a lot of survivors in Palestine and in Gaza, normally they have wazda. Wazda means that if you know somebody, they can help you get out. They can help you survive. And in this moment, my great-grandfather had wazda. He befriended some of the British soldiers, and they helped him not get killed that day. After that, the soldiers came into my grandmother's home, destroyed everything they had, and they forcibly removed her from her home. She told me how she had a grave journey all the way to Lebanon, Lebanon to Syria, Syria to Qatar, then Qatar to America. When I tell you guys this story, this isn't a unique story at all, and that's the issue. Millions of Palestinians, millions of Palestinian Americans have this exact same story of their parents or their grandparents getting killed. This was the Nakba, and I want you guys to remember that it's still happening till this day. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry I didn't prepare anything to say except my dad and his sibling, they grow up here. But my dad decided to go to Palestine and marry from there. And I grew up in Palestine most of my life. And I was like, I'm American, and I don't have any special treatment. No one take care of me there because I'm American. They treat me as a Palestinian, even they have more hard on me as American. I grew up in the schools there. Every year we have this day, land day. And we are growing with the same ideas of like, this is our land. And we should not leave this area. And I'm grateful for that, because when I visit my grandpa's house on his land, I feel like he had long time to work in this land. He did a lot for this land to keep this heritage. And most of my uncles, they are living here and left this land. I felt, I don't know how we can keep that land if like we can't take care of that land, because they are prevent us to do anything, because that area called sea area. You can't do anything in that land. And every day I grow up from Bethlehem, I'm from city, and seeing myself with a lot of buildings and a lot of settlements around that building, and they are taking more land and more land and more land, I felt like I'm living in small hole. I can't breathe, because I can't go north, I can't go south, I can't go anywhere. Everything is occupied by them. And they make it more small to Palestinian to move anywhere there. And that's the concept. Like, I grew up, there is one mountain in front of my house, and they take it. And when I go to Hebron, all the lands is taken. I'm questioning 2.5 of the land they left for us. Where is the rest? Thank you.
Thanks you all so much. I wanted to just ask another question that not everybody has to answer, which was, on this land day, if you could think of what might be, how shall I put this, like a kind of call to action or a call to the community to support Palestinian land and Palestinian dignity, what might that call be? And anybody who feels anything could, if you all want to share what you think about that.
My call to the community would not to be look towards it and keep focused, because we've already done that. I'm asking the community to take action. I'm asking you not only to reach out to as many funding organizations that you can, give funds to the children in Gaza, give funds to the people in Gaza who are suffering, their families. Not only that, but to give what you can, give what you possess. This is huge. This is way bigger than you. And if you have the funds, and if you have the ability to give, you should give. And you should encourage everyone else around you to give. Because I am really tired of this kind of trend where people just share and they share everything. And not to mention that, it's good to share things, everyone should be seeing it, but you should be clicking on those links, you should be donating, you should be sending it to everyone in your workplace, everyone in your friend group, everyone that you know, no matter if it feels awkward or embarrassing for you, it doesn't matter, because it's not embarrassing for us, it's not awkward. You should be telling everyone you know to look directly at Gaza, to direct all their attention at Palestine right now, because there is no excuse. There is no reason why you should not, and it's too bad if you don't like looking at that kind of content, or if that kind of media. It's not media, it's not content, it's someone's life. It's someone's real life, and they're experiencing it right now. Just because you see it through the phone doesn't mean it's happening on the phone. I talk to my father every day, and every single day he tells me the casualties that he knows. In what world do we live in where every morning I wake up and I hear of more people dead? This ends now. And the only thing that you can do to help is not only to keep your eyes open, but to keep your wallets open, to keep your groups open. Send everything to everyone you know. Tell everyone what's going on. Say, have you heard what's happening in Yemen right now? Have you heard what's happening in Gaza? Have you heard what's happening in Beirut? Ask people, ask questions, be out there. Put yourself out there, because there is no other way to do it. You cannot hide. You cannot hide because you are scared. If I hid every time I was scared, I wouldn't be here. So look past your fear and look to privilege that you have and use it. Use what you have. And then you have to tell others to use what they have. Be a force, be a voice. For people who don't have a voice, and for people who beg endlessly for help and support, you can help them. You can save a life. And you can do that by pushing the notion of Palestine farther than just your family and yourself and your friends. Flood your social media with Palestine. What I do every single day is repost every single video, every single piece of information that comes up on my feed about Palestine, because I don't care who judges me or who sees it. That doesn't even cross my mind. It doesn't cross my mind. All I think of is they should be seeing this. And if they're not, it's their fault. You should be seeking it out. If you don't already see it, seek it out. Seek things out, be a voice, contribute what you can, give your funds, give your privilege to someone else. Palestinians are dying. A genocide is occurring. This is a moment in time and in history where you can only give everything that you can. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that what we can do as a community especially is make sure that we're keeping ourselves in check at local stores, making sure that we're not buying Israeli goods or goods on the boycott list. I know my favorite examples to bring up is at Market of Choice. They have Israeli couscous, which is actually called maftul. So don't sparkle on that. But what we can also do is continue talking about Palestine, as Danny was saying, and making sure that we're not letting the state repression that is currently occurring to our most vulnerable, students with visas that are standing against the ongoing genocide being funded by our tax dollars, that we make sure that we're using our privilege, the positions that we have if we are citizens, to take up that mantle. That when they drag people from the street for simply writing an op-ed or being a lead negotiator and bring them to undisclosed locations, we are the people that need to be going to those locations, going to the street and taking up the mantle of speaking against the fascism and the oppression that is happening in our country and abroad. And that's also what Land Day is about. It was the Israeli occupying force killing and martyring Palestinian citizens with Israeli passports. Even that was not enough protection just to stand peacefully against the illegal annexation of land. And even now we see the degradation of any protections that we used to see as being moral or Western. Oh, you have a passport. Oh, you're a citizen. Oh, you're a legal resident. They're all disappearing as fascism grows. And it's our responsibility to be the line of defense and make sure that it doesn't continue. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to add a lot of new things. We're living in really fucked up, scary, fascistic times, and I guess stay informed, read up, print zines, take care of each other, and I don't know, as per the global resistance, as free people of the world, watching the Zionist entity escalate and watching the U.S. escalate as a popular movement, we need to also, in turn, escalate and fight back because we can win. All right.
We were driving, me and my husband, around. I saw a Palestinian flag. He said, "What's the point about it?" I said, "I feel someone think about us. Think about the rights of Palestinians. And also, we lived for many years without anyone understand what is happening. Maybe this genocide, I'm not saying that this is the worst, in my 30-some year of my age, this is the worst thing ever I had in my life. And nothing compare with anything I saw. And was like in the way in my life when I grew up, like many times I was up to die. Like the gun was here, for sure. Like I don't know how I am here, still alive. But the idea of the media is dangerous. For me, as an American Palestinian, I want to go home to visit my mom who has a ALS because of the toxic and the poison Israeli throw on the people, and she has a ALS for 16 years. Now she's in the end of her life. When she left me, she visited me here. I told her, I can't visit you because I'm not guaranteed when I go to the border, I will not be arrested because I'm activist. I put a lot of media things in my media, social media. And it's sacrifice, yeah. I'm not blame people when they are worried to post things because maybe they will lose another things. For me, I'm losing to visit that area, for sure, and see my mom in her end of life. But on the other hand, another people, they want to see that we are here with them. And there's someone feel like we are stand for them. And that's what we can, media, donation, and send love. Because we are really in very hard stage in the politic. I don't know how we will go out with the new plans. And I don't want to talk about the new plans with new president. Thank you so much.
I think everyone up here has had amazing calls to action. I can't add too much to that. I do want to add to just to keep in your heart the humanity of Palestinians. It's such a Zionist propaganda tool to dehumanize us. And I want to point out, and I bet you everybody else here has similar stories, that there were peace among Jews, Christians, and Muslims before there was Zionism in Palestine. Don't let anybody tell you that Palestinians are just violent and that's why people can't get along. And I'm not proud of violent resistance that my people felt obligated to do after trying peaceful solutions. I'm not proud of it. I'm not condoning it on either side. But I want you to know that the overwhelming response from my family is to just want peace. There's no hatred for Jews in our family. My grandmother was a midwife. She helped bring babies into this world from all faiths. Their neighbors were Jewish. My family was Christian. Their neighbors on the other side were Muslim. She would breastfeed each other's babies in a pinch. They were community like we are community. And there's no reason that they can't be again other than Zionism. And just please keep that in your hearts. Also, Palestinians are Jewish as well. I sent my DNA in. It's almost 20% Mizrahi Jewish. They're the Jews that never left Palestine. And there's deep connections there between all of us, despite our religions. And that's all we want again, those connections and peace.
I certainly don't have anything to add. I just, from just what I'm feeling, I want to speak to just the eloquence and the, the heart-based ability to speak on such an absolutely horrific topic, and with a backdrop of such horrific times. I'm just feeling so humbled by your ability to just remain here and talking to us. So thank you, first of all, for that. Yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, does anybody want to ask any questions to the panelists? We can take some questions for a little while. That's up to y'all. You can either come up or just speak it from where you're at.
We're raising funds today. I came a little late. Could you mention how the funds might go to children's aid?
Sure. We have, thank you. We have a QR code from Meca, Middle Eastern Children's Alliance, and that will go directly to children in Palestine. And also Tara, who is right there, has also a GoFundMe for her family in Palestine. And sometimes when I'm scrolling around and I see a fundraiser for a particular Gazan family, that even if it's just a few bucks, I'll just throw it down. And that is to say that every little bit that you can send their way helps. Maybe skip a coffee that day or skip a donut or whatever is your routine. And I would also add to what everybody has said that if you can link up with a particular Palestinian family in Gaza, for example, or in the West Bank, and support them by listening, sharing, and fundraising for them, that's also a really, really powerful, important way to contribute your platform, your privilege. And there are so many in dire need. Any other questions?
There is also,
Please.
I want to add, I have a friend.
Want to speak?
I have a friend, I'm in like almost many months, I'm sending from my clinic. I work as a therapist, a mental health therapist. From the mosque, we're sending money. He's investing now in those small tent clinic all over because now they don't have hospitals to cover all the people. And now we are buying for them any medical equipment and anything their needs, supplements for medical things to help to reduce the stress on the hospitals in North Gaza, because North Gaza, they have the worst situation between. I'm always sending donation. They buy. I have the pictures. I have everything. That everything go from my side, go to the people, go to the clinic, to the people who needs, and the clinic tent in the north of Gaza. We do this for quite a time. I'm not expecting any donation, but I'm not going to tell, no, I will not involve other people if they are willing to do.
If you have the money and if you have the ability, you should be sending funds to Gaza every single month, every single week if you can.
Any other questions, folks?
Can you please say anything about No Other Land showing at the Art House?
We haven't. You want to?
Yeah. It's just an announcement. Have you heard of No Other Land? It's the Academy Award winning film. It's showing at the Art House. What is today? Saturday. It's showing tomorrow. So check it out. And then another showing, McNally Rail House. Is that the Occupation 101? And that's another documentary showing Wednesday, April 2nd, 7 o'clock. Not the Art House. So two different films. Occupation 101 is at the does anyone know the name of that house? That one. 7 o'clock, April 2nd. Otherwise, check out No Other Land at the Art House. Playing tonight, playing tomorrow.
Yeah, so just, I guess, I'll take this moment to announce a few more things. First of all, we have some QR codes there. We have some posters and merch of various things. Please go check it out. Take a zine, take a poster, drop $1 or $2 or $5 or whatever. Also, in May, we're going to be having a Palestine exhibit at the library here around the corner. I'm really excited about that. We're going to be showcasing Palestinian art, thobes, tatriz art, and a bunch of other things, and you'll be hearing about that. I guess that's all we got for you today. Thanks for coming out, and keep showing up for Palestine and for yourselves and for our community. Thank you so much. Thank you.